Welcome to the Boston Barrister, Kevin Patrick Sieber, bringing you insights about your family and the world.
Welcome to the Boston Barrister. My name is Kevin Patrick Sieber. I'm located in Boston, Massachusetts. And we have the extreme pleasure to have the Chief Marketing and Sales Officer from the BBB, the Better Business Bureau, and her name is Paula Fleming. Thank you, Paula, for joining us here today. Paula, talk to me about what is the best way for individuals to get in touch with BBB, Better Business Bureau.
So people can reach us at 508-652-4800.
Would you repeat that? Would you
Yes.
repeat that again, please?
508-652-4800 is our phone. And we are available at no cost to consumers and businesses online at bbb.org. Again, it's bbb.org.
And how do they join and become a member, Paula? What's the way that you would suggest?
Businesses can apply for membership right online. The application is roughly 10 to 20 minutes of your time. And then it goes to our team to vet to see if you are approved for accreditation.
And what do you mean by approved for accreditation, please?
So we have different standards. We take into consideration what your complaints are, how long you've been in business, what your industry is, if you have any legal actions or government actions, how you're responding to complaints. We look at patterns. We just vet each and every company to make sure that they meet the standards of accreditation. And then we work with companies to make sure if they are not approved, that they know why. And if they're interested in turning it around, we try to help them.
Paula, tell me, I read that you have over 7,000 businesses and growing.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Talk to me about the types of business you have, because I have a misconception. I always thought that it was just small businesses. So take me out of that misconception, because I was totally wrong.
Yes, so it is a misconception that many have, so you're not alone in that. Membership is not just for small business. One of the biggest misconceptions is exactly that we're only for the small business, even just 1 to 20 employees, and that's simply not true. What the BBB accreditation, it's open to all sizes. We have everyone from John Hancock all the way down to a solopreneur. And they're family-owned companies to large regional, national corporations. What they have in common is trust and ethical standards, and that can apply, as you know, to every type of business and every size of business. And we want to make sure that it's not the size of the business, it's the behavior of the business that we're looking at here. And any business can apply for accreditation, right? But not every business qualifies. So we want to make sure that, as I mentioned, the businesses are meeting the standards for trust, which include the operating with honesty and transparency, responding promptly to consumer complaints, honoring their commitments that are promised, being truthful in their advertising and very clear, safeguarding that customer privacy, and maintaining a positive track record in the overall marketplace. So it's a whole vetting process, which we have an amazing team behind the scenes that conducts everything from licensing, time in business, as I mentioned, government actions. And I want to stress that accreditation is a privilege and it's not a right.
Paula, another misconception some people may have is that Paula is a lawyer. You're not. That correct?
I am absolutely not a lawyer. You definitely have that over me. I always tell people that I know a little bit about a lot of different topics. After over 30 years, I've been in this, not with Better Business Bureau, but within my career, and over 23 years with Better Business Bureau specifically.
One of the things I love about you, Paula, and we have met, is your modesty. You are very humble. She is a proud graduate. She has a degree in what I call an amazing thing, and that's corporate communication, which is not easy. And she also has a degree, a minor in anthropology. Mm-hmm. Square that for me, Paula. Those are two different, separate, and distinct educational details.
So it's interesting, you know, when I first started, I'm very direct. I am very authentic. What you get from me in this podcast is what you will get with me if I'm at the yoga studio or if you run into me in a parking lot. I believe firmly that being transparent and authentic is what has led me to be successful. At one time in my career, I was embarrassed about where I went to college. And then I took a look back as I matured And I looked around me and all, including myself, but all of my friends are extremely successful. They're entrepreneurs. They're moms that are just juggling everyday life, and they're successful. They're happy. And I said, wow, I have surrounded myself with incredible women. I have a degree, as you mentioned, in corporate communications and a minor in anthropology. That came to be because I'll be honest with you, I was entering my junior year. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I had professors that supported me and said, hey, Paula, you are a great communicator. You really have interest in getting to know people's stories. We think you should go into what we call now storytelling, but into public relations and be a communicator. So that's where I went. I went into that. I graduated with corporate communications, like I said, minor in anthropology, which I don't use very much. I'll be honest with you. They just suggested it as a kind of added extra. And I started working at a pharmaceutical healthcare company. I then went over to what was called Collaborative Insight. And I worked behind the scenes, writing press releases, pitching the media. I then met my husband, fell in love, decided that I didn't want to do the commute from Natick to Boston anymore. And I found that Better Business Bureau at that time was actually headquartered in my hometown. How convenient. I applied for the position, and I'll be very honest, I didn't get it at that time. 3 to 4 months later, they came back and asked me to reapply, and I did. I got director of communications. It was just me, myself, and I in the department, and I worked my way up from there, built an amazing team. I have over a dozen people on the team now representing the states of BBB Eastern New England, which I am in charge of all the communications and marketing for. And yeah, that's how it's evolved. You know, there's a lot of in between and all of that. But yet things have changed at BBB. We've grown significantly. We were known as a complaint agency. I don't refer to us as that. I make it a goal for people to consider us an educational resource. So whether you're a business or you're a consumer, I want to drive people to our platform, bbb.org, to get information, to educate themselves, whether it be on scams, whether it be on starting a new business, or whether it be on looking at a business before you sign a contract or give them your hard-earned money to make sure they're reputable, reliable, and credible.
Paula, talk about a quote that you have made called "Your vibe leads to your tribe." Explain that to us.
Well, I firmly believe it. I make mistakes. I am not perfect. I am conscious.
Time out. I got both hands up in the air. Go ahead. I'm in that club. Go ahead.
But I learn from my tribe. And when I say my tribe, that is everyone from my family to my friends, to my colleagues, to my team. There's certain words I try to stay away from. I just did it. I said my team. It's the team. I am part of the team. I don't like titles. We all label people with titles. I don't love that. I learn all the time from team members, from my colleagues. And I think the vibe that I put out there, listen, if you get a hug from me, it's because I really, truly mean it. And if you get the vibe that, there's something between us, it's usually for a good reason. I've just been really forthcoming on what energy I put out there and what energy that I let into my circle. I've evolved. I'm nearly 50 years old. I have 2 adult children now that are in colleges that I'm extremely proud of. But even as a mother, I haven't been perfect. And there's no situation where I don't think you can take a gleam of learning and humbleness from. So yeah, I think the vibe I put out and the tribe, they play hand in hand.
I want you, Paula, to talk about it, be so kind too. You stated one time that punishment for you was being put on the couch and not being able to speak. What did you mean by that?
That is actually very true, and I will never forget it. I was raised, and I was the youngest of 3, and by a significant age gap. My siblings were 9-10 years older than me, or 8 and 9 rather, and I was a busybody. I was a social butterfly, and the worst thing that my parents, specifically my mother, my dad was often working, would do to punish me or, to make me sit and think about, maybe not staying in class as I should have and going around the school to find out what everyone else was doing, would be to sit on the couch and think about it. And for me, that was the most difficult and harsh punishment as someone who has ADD alone. But that really feeds off energy of others. It was spot on for my mother. So she figured out what would be a punishment, and that worked. So making sure that I had time to sit and reflect was the punishment that my mother chose often.
Well, I want you to talk about your great community efforts as well. I mean,
Okay.
you've been honored to be part of the University of Vermont and the Grossman business. I want you to talk about that. I think that's very significant.
Yeah, so I am part of many, and I don't always put everything out there, but I feel education is extremely important, and education looks different to everyone, right? College is not necessarily for everyone. I actually speak at several colleges where I admittedly state I do not look at where someone has graduated from college when I am interviewing them at their resume. I see how they interact with me. I look for the attention to, have they taken their time to research the Better Business Bureau? Have they taken time to research me? How much effort and enthusiasm are they putting into this? Or is everything ChatGPT? So while I am on several boards for different colleges, I am a guest speaker. I'm going next week. I'm very honored to speak in front of UMass Amherst, the students of Eisenberg. I feel education is extremely important, but it's not the end all and be all. As I mentioned, at one time, I was embarrassed of where I went to college, which shout out to Plymouth State. It's now Plymouth State University, but it was Plymouth State College back in the day when I graduated in 1999. So I think that being part of all these different committees and forcing myself to learn and be part of education is very important, whether it's in Vermont or it's here at UMass Boston, which I'm part of, the marketing committees, or speaking at the different colleges around Eastern New England. It's an honor.
Well, Paul, you also are so humble that you don't even talk about how thousands of times you've spoken to the media, whether it's TV, radio, newspapers, social media. And you're speaking to Fox later on today, and I thank you for your time today because I know how busy you are. But more importantly, you also engage in hundreds of events where people get to meet Paula Fleming, and I think that is truly a feather in your cap. And I want you to talk about, you are the chairperson for the suicidal walk of the Metro West.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with that? Because, I mean, this is real community stuff. And I want you to talk about also the two things that people have the biggest fears, and I know I did, is that when you have a child, our most precious, priceless asset, and you talked about your two children, much to your credit, death occurs with them through, number one is car accidents, second is through drowning. And you're a person who teaches swimming to young children. So I want you to talk about those two aspects, about the suicidal walk that you're the chairperson of, as well as where do you find this time? I don't know how you do this balance, man. I want in on that. So please describe that to me. You're amazing. You're amazing.
Well, I've always lived my life. I'm sure my friends from honestly middle school to high school will tell you I was always that irritating friend. We didn't have cell phones back then that would pop up ready to, go and take on the day before they would even get out of bed. And I'm still like that. I think that's just how I function in my day-to-day life. I also feel like, if you're not passionate about something, you shouldn't do it. So nobody goes to work right every day. They love it every day. But for the most part, that should be the overall, when you take everything into consideration. Are you still passionate about what you are doing? Because you only have one life to live, and it's a very short life. So you should make sure that you are passionate about it. So mental health is incredibly important to me, both personally and professionally. In the work we do at BBB, we see the emotional tolls, scams, and financial disputes take on people. And the victims of these scams often feel shame, anxiety, embarrassment, even depression. So it's not just about the money, right? And over the years, I've come to understand that leadership isn't only about strategy and operations, but it's about the people, and it's about empathy. So that all came into play because I found my professional life and my personal life colliding when I was young. I was turning 11 years old. I lost my brother to suicide. And
I'm sorry, Paula.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't know that. And
that's okay.
I feel bad that I brought the subject up, and I know it needs to be discussed. I hope you feel comfortable. If you don't, we truly can skip over.
Absolutely. Do not apologize. I am an open book. If I don't want to talk about something, I will tell you that. I am my
Thank you.
authentic self. So,
Thank you.
so I found that my professional and my personal life really played into one another. And we didn't talk about it much when I was growing up. And it wasn't until I lost my second cousin to suicide. So this is now the third family member to suicide and the fourth person in my life to suicide, all within Massachusetts, right? So we're not talking about, across the United States. These are all local. These are all men, young men that have died by suicide. And I decided that I would step into my truth and get more involved. So
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, I decided to get involved with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I worked my way up. I actually ran the Metro West Suicide Mental Health Out of the Darkness Walk for several years. And then I was on the board for a short time for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. All in all, I did that for 7 years, and I actually stepped down a few years ago, and I felt like I gave a lot to the program. We raised a lot of money. I had my parents walking beside me, which was a very big thing because I did not grow up talking about suicide openly or depression, and I wanted my kids to feel like there is not a stigma that should be had in regards to this. I myself struggle with depression. So I wanted that conversation within my family, within my community, to be open and to stand strong in that. And I felt like I did. So I took a step back to that, but I can never have too much time on my hands. So when my daughter said she wanted to be a lifeguard, I said, that's really great. I'm going to do it with you and see if I can pass the test. So I did. I took the course with her. I passed. I did a short stint, I will be honest with you, of lifeguarding, and my professional and my personal collided again when I had to rescue a small business owner's child from drowning. And I said, oh, good gravy. This is too hard for me. So I did 2 saves of 4-year-olds, and that was enough for me. About a year of lifeguarding in my free time. And then I decided I wanted to teach the children. Again, I feel like once my passion goes, and I can't give everything, then I'm doing a disservice to those that I'm trying to teach. So now I teach swimming to 6-month-olds all the way up to 5-year-olds.
Wow.
And I have recently been trained in teaching Water X, which is, if you will, aerobics and running in the water. And now I teach also adults with disabilities. So I think that's equally as important. Water's a way of calming the nervous system, reducing stress, building strength physically and emotionally, and teaching swimming in the community. I feel like it complements my professional role. And I'm honored that people want to allow me to teach their children, because it can be dangerous. And I think it's an amazing opportunity for me to make a small difference in someone's life.
Paula, you're a great storyteller, and I want you to tell us a story about the time you were with your girlfriend and her child, and you were with your daughter, and you went into which is right around the corner from my office, as you well know, because you've been here before, Beacon Hill, and how you helped this business owner, and how you built a relationship with her, and it wasn't about getting or taking. You were a giver. And talk about that, because I think it's a great story, and it tells a lot about you and BBB.
Yeah, I think I've never been one to say, oh, look at me. I don't feel like I have. And I always want to help out people. And this was a story in which I was so impressed with this young lady that was running a boutique in Beacon Hill. And I'll be honest with you, I've not frequented the city all that often. So I consider Beacon Hill the city. And it was my first time bringing my daughter there. Actually, I'm wearing the earrings from her boutique. That is so funny.
Meant to be.
Yeah.
Meant to be.
Yes. And fast forward. So we were just engaging, interacting. She actually is not from the Boston area. And she didn't know about Better Business Bureau. I educated her a little bit while the kids were trying on clothing. It was a great conversation. Well, fast forward, I believe it was Easter Sunday. It was Easter. And she had called me in a situation, and I helped guide her through that situation. So I really feel like I should be available to people, no matter the time, no matter the day, no matter the holiday, because life happens. It doesn't decide when to happen. And as a public figure, as someone in the role that I have, I answer those phone calls and I answer those DMs. I do my best to work, whether it's with the media or with business owners or with consumers. And I really am passionate about making a difference for everyone. And so as long as they are trying to put their best foot forward and doing the right thing, then I'm there to support and walk beside them, whether you're a member or a non-member.
I want you now, Paula, to go back to what I consider a huge tragedy in the beautiful city of Boston. It's an event that happens every year where the world focuses in on Boston, and that's the Boston Marathon bombing. And talk about what you did and how you did what you did, because I think it's just such a sweet story. So please tell that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people don't understand the role Better Business Bureau plays in so many different topics, subjects, tragedies, natural disasters. So obviously, I was in New Hampshire actually on vacation with my family and friends, and the Boston Marathon bombing happened. And as everyone was, we were watching it unfold on TV live. And at that time, even I wasn't aware on the need for BBB to step in. And so once I processed, we got in the car and we drove home, and I was inundated with media phone calls on how do people protect themselves that want to help, but making sure that they are donating, that they are helping, they are giving support in the right way. And through research, through working, with my colleagues, we came up with the press releases, the tips for consumers, and working with the media to get that messaging out. So a lot of what I do is relying on the media to get the word out. And a lot of times, what you'll see in the media is unfortunately negative situations, negative occurrences, tragic occurrences, emotionally appealing situations. And that's where, you may not say, why would Paula even be involved? Why would the Better Business Bureau have a hand in this? And that was just one example of how we play a role in our communities, in our world. Because Better Business Bureau, although I only represent BBB Eastern New England, there are thousands of employees. There are over 90 Better Business Bureaus across the United States, Canada, and Mexico that represent their communities, that work hard every day to make sure that the public, consumers, and businesses are working together and working to really stand out and build trust amongst each other and make sure we're keeping the money that we all work hard for in the hands of reliable, credible businesses and out of the hands of those scammers.
Paula, you're very humble once again. You didn't tell, perhaps the most important factor in that story was you were on vacation. You cut your family vacation short to come down and help those in need due to the Boston Marathon bombing. And now I want to change gears here because I know the thing you're really passionate about is education. And of course, I want to learn the tips and tricks that you do to help people to avoid scams. And I know when you first started, you had mentioned that it was usually the elderly, but that has expanded so broadly with the internet and digital and so forth and so on. So I'd love for you to tell some of your favorite stories, how you helped and educated, and what you think the public should know so that they don't get scammed. And that includes businesses, that includes consumers, includes everybody.
Yeah, it does. It's very interesting. I always, when I'm speaking, especially to college students, I say, when you're in marketing, they tell you to figure out who your target audience is. What are the demographics? Who's the niche audience? You hear all these terms. Well, imagine my position. I cannot market to one and only segmented group of individuals because really the Better Business Bureau is here for everyone. So whether you're in high school and we're talking about making smart, ethical decisions, and that could be from what you're posting on your social media platforms to going into college and racking up that credit card debt, not really understanding the impact it could play. So that's financial literacy. To small business owners that are just starting out that don't understand the difference between, an LLC or being incorporated, what type of insurance they should have, if their state deems necessary that they are certified. There's so many things that play into our audience, we try to educate members and the public about scams. So where we were just a complaint agency, now a lot of what we do is educating about scams. And there are so many that are constantly out there. They vary from imposter scams to phishing scams, employment scams, online purchase frauds. It's important that we're really staying on top of all the scams. They're never going to go away. They tend to just evolve, especially with technology evolving so rapidly, making my job even more difficult, because I have to educate myself. When I started, Facebook was just coming out. And I remember being a little bit leery about joining Facebook. And now AI is here. And I have to learn and educate myself about AI so then I can properly educate both our members and the public about what to look out for so they're not scammed. So my job is constantly educating myself to educate others, evolving, learning about what's happening in our communities. And the best thing I can do is actually listen to others to see what is it that you're falling victim to for a scam, or what is it that you as a business owner are struggling with that I can be educated on and help you with.
When we talked about that, Paula, you said to me, Kevin, make sure we talk about Social Security numbers. Don't ever give them out. Hesitate, pause, and tap the brakes on that. That's a major red flag. Identity theft, because once they get your Social Security number, they can go to town with you. The other things you were talking about was the elderly, how they're so vulnerable. And that if it's too good to be true, it's usually not.
Right.
So when you hear something like that, hesitate, pause, and before you put any money down, do not do it over the phone. Do it in person and make sure you vet that person, i.e. the Better Business Bureau, to make sure that you're dealing with reputable people, trustworthy people. And it's hard because we as consumers, we are very impulsive. So are there any other trips or tricks that you can talk about that can help the consumers and the businesses out there besides the LLCs, which is great suggestions?
Right. Sure. Yeah. Well, first and foremost, if someone's calling and pretending to be from the Social Security or your bank claiming your account is compromised or actually demanding immediate payment or your personal information, that's them creating urgency and fear to manipulate you. So take a step back. Don't make an irrational, emotional decision. Hang up the phone and call. If it's your bank, they're claiming to be your bank, hang up that call your bank directly. For phishing, I think it's important. Listen, a lot of people use Amazon. So if you receive an email that looks like it's from Amazon or your credit card company that's asking you to verify your account, and the link can lead you to a fake website that steals your login credentials, you have to be careful. This is what we could refer to as phishing. Phishing is PHISH phishing. So that is something that we really want people to be aware of. So be careful of those emails and texts that come in. A lot of times, people are looking for employment. Now, you mentioned the elderly, but it's equally as important. 18 to 24-year-olds are unfortunately rising in the scams that are being perpetrated. So they're looking for summer jobs. They're looking for jobs during the holiday. A fake employer may offer a remote job, sending fraudulent checks for training material, equipment, and asking the victim to wire money back and the check later bounces. So just make sure that you do your due diligence. And if you see a employment opportunity that sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So we want people to exercise caution.
Well, as a small business owner or a large business owner, everybody wants to grow their business. What tips and tricks does BBB give those that perhaps are sitting on the fence saying, well, do I really want to spend my shekels on BBB, and why they get value? Because I know, and I must be completely transparent with everybody, as you have been, I am a member of the BBB, and I have gotten great value from it. I've been a member for more than 10 years. I love the moral and the ethical responsibility that the BBB holds my feet to. I love the fact that I was able to do a video. They did a story on me. They gave me the crest, the seal of approval, which says trust, that I can put up on my website. I want you to go into all of that, Paula, because to me, I just think the world of BBB, and it all starts at the top with you and all your colleagues and teammates, and talk about that. And I want you to talk about your teammates too, please.
Yeah, of course. So, well, I get asked this a lot, like, what is the value of B2B today for my business? And I honestly believe that trust has never been more important. We're obviously operating in an environment where consumers are skeptical. So they research everything. They read the reviews, they check ratings, they're aware of scams and deceptive marketing. And businesses therefore must work extremely hard to prove credibility. And the BBB provides the trust signal, and that's the accredited business seal that you mentioned. And when a business is accredited, it tells consumers that the company has been vetted, agrees to uphold ethical standards, and that matters to people. It differentiates a legitimate business from the bad actors in a very crowded digital marketplace. So I do firmly believe, although the seal is extremely important, whether you put it on your website as a Wayfair or you put it on your vehicle as a plumbing company and pulls up to your house. We offer also complaint services. So we work with the consumer and the business. And if you're a member, then you have to respond to all complaints. And listen, every business is going to face a complaint at some point. What matters is how that business responds. And we provide a professional, documented process that allows the business to demonstrate their accountability and responsiveness. And I think that helps their reputation firmly. We also provide, as you mentioned, the visibility aspect, which consumers actively search bbb.org before making their decisions. And I cannot stress that enough. Again, we're an educational resource where consumers come to us to vet businesses prior to making a purchase of a service. It could be a contractor coming to your home to replace your roof, or it could be a product going to buy a car. It could be getting a lawyer. It could be anything, trying to find a reputable daycare, putting your child into a driver's ed course. How do you know that your child's safe when they get behind that wheel? Who's next to them? So we really deal with every industry. And I think it's important that our BBB profiles reflect factual information for consumers to review.
I would just add too, Paula, I want you to talk about your relationship with Google, which is huge, and how well respected and more importantly, trusted BBB is by Google. Talk about that for a moment, if you be so kind, because I think that's huge. As a business owner, I deal with Google. Everybody does if you're on the net. And you can't really survive today and grow without the net. And Google's, a big player in that. So talk about that, how it benefits, the backlinks, the help, the branding, all that stuff that you nice people do, the stories, the videos. Talk about that.
Yeah, sure. So BBB business profiles, which I consider that to be our product. That's what you find when you research a business. You can even go to Google, type in BBB, and you could put in BBB Boston lawyers, and up will come a directory of BBB accredited businesses, right? So BBB business profiles are highly indexed by Google. When consumer uses Google for a company's name, their profile often appears near the top of those search results. And that visibility matters to people because consumers are actively researching, as we mentioned. They might not go directly to bbb.org, but they might start at Google. So that Google's algorithm prioritizes trusted, authoritative sources. And as you can imagine, being the BBB, around for over 100 years, since 1912, in fact, we maintain detailed public business profiles, and our information is frequently surfaced in those search results. So you'll often see the BBB profile, the rating, the complaint history, the customer reviews, and all of that. And I think that's extremely important because we live in a digital marketplace. Now, what you mentioned is the benefits that we have. So we have different tiers of membership. Now, I always say a well-established business that they may already have a logo and a website, but someone who's just starting out may not. Well, BBB can actually create a logo for your business that you can use. We can create a website for you to use, a Shopify account. We provide a plethora of benefits. In fact, over 60 benefits for businesses. It could be everything from educational webinars, certifications, all the way through to actually those door hangers that people sometimes use, the yard signs that you see when you're driving through your neighborhood. Those are all included in membership. We do videos. So I actually have on my team a very talented, his name is Aaron, content creator. and he will come out and he will do a video and that you can utilize for your social media platforms. You can put on your website. It's professionally done. We do headshots for you and your employees. We can do product shots. We offer how-tos. So if you are a roofer, how to know when you need a new roof. So you as a member are providing education yourself to your potential customers, which in turn will help your business grow. So everything that I do is rooted in growing, whether it's growing as a consumer or growing as a business. I am here to help with that.
Well, I want to say that I've utilized some of those services, and I'm a very happy consumer of BBB. And I say that unequivocally because I can go out and tell the public, hire me. Well, first question the consumer's going to say, well, why, Attorney Seaver? And when I tell them what a great lawyer I am, it rings hollow.
Right.
But when I have third parties like BBB rating me an A+ with all these 5-star reviews that I've done the right thing by others, and therefore those similar or same position, I can do the same thing for you, what I've done for others. That really rings the bell, because a client's got to know, like, and trust a lawyer. And the trust factor with BBB is off the charts, because when people see and tell me you belong to BBB and you got an A+ rating and you've been with them for many, many, many years, it sells itself. And I think any business owner, if they have any modicum of common sense, that's what you want us to grow, because BBB, as you said, has been around since 1912. That was when Fenway Park was built, when the RMS Titanic sailed, and you've been in business for over 114 years. How many businesses can say that?
Right.
You can't buy experience with a credit card. So BBB is the real deal. I want you to finish up, though, Paula, talking about your team, talking about the people you work with at BBB, because Paula's one of many. And I'm going to tell you right now, your energy's off the charts, and everyone I've dealt with at BBB, they can't do enough for me. So I truly endorse you, Paula. I love your people. I thank you for all the growth you've helped me with, because I've had many questions. There's no one path or one shoe fits all here. Okay, so if you can talk about your team, I would really appreciate that, because they deserve the credit, because I know they help, and I've got a team that help me every day, and my team's really important. I know you talk about your team all the time, and good for you. So tell me about those Santa's little helpers in the background that help you. Please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's important, in each state that we serve, we have representatives, from Mary in Vermont to Hannah in Maine. There's so many. My manager, Danielle, who is very good at managing upwards. Sometimes I have too much on my plate, and without hesitation, she will redirect me and take what is needed from my plate. So I always say to people, smart people hire smarter people. I could not do my job, and the BBB would not be where we are today without an incredibly amazing team. And the team, specifically, you as a member or you as a business, have a customer care representative. So if you are having trouble logging onto your account, if you are having trouble ordering products, or if you just need some guidance, you have one representative that is dedicated to you and your business. I think that is huge. And that's the customer care team that do a phenomenal job at answering chats, that answer phone calls, and that guide each of these businesses. And then you have my team that is out in the public every day, that you may see a BBB branded vehicle driving down the road. When we are at farmers markets, we are speaking to the elderly, we are within colleges, we are talking, in groups, networking, leaders. Networking sometimes has a negative connotation. They think it's a dirty word, but I think that networking has developed, and when networking feels forced or opportunistic, it can come across as inauthentic. And as I said, starting out, I am authentic, and I really believe in surrounding myself with people that want to raise you up. And so I think creating this space where we can connect members to members, or creating a space, whether it's women in leadership or entrepreneurs who want to learn from each other, we're constantly out there in the public. We have everything from headshot and handshakes events to coffee networking meetups to behind the business storytelling. So we are really out there and trying to make a difference in our communities. And I just don't talk the talk. I would never ask anyone within our team to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And I think that's important, that real networking is community building, and that's what we do.
Paula, I truly want to thank you. I know you're on a very busy, tight schedule today. I wish you good luck on your Fox and also your UMass talks, because you got
Thank
Fox
you.
this afternoon. Please do this for me.
Yes.
Slowly tell everyone your phone number. So if
Yes.
they want to call you, they want to join the BBB, they
Sure.
want to have you as a speaker on a podcast or
Mhm.
media or TV, radio, whatever it is,
Sure.
Paula's there. I mean,
Yes.
Paula Fleming's there. So give me your phone number. Say it twice, please, so that people can run and get a pen if they don't have their computers out. And also give how they can get in touch with BBB to join and be a member like I am.
Well, I'm taking into account what my dad used to say to me, which is, Paula, slow down. You get so excited and passionate. I get every other word out of your mouth. So I will slow down here, because it's very important that people can reach out to us. You can do so online at bbb.org, bbb.org, or you can call us at 508-652-4800. We are
Repeat that. Repeat that again, please, Paula.
Yeah.
Let's do it twice.
508-652-4800.
Paula Fleming, thank you for everything you do for your hometown of Natick, for Massachusetts, for Maine, for Vermont, for Rhode Island, and all those small and big businesses.
Yes.
The misconception, which you took care of me today, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. I truly look forward to working with BBB for many years to come. I've got my care person on speed dial. You can take that to the bank.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure, Paula. Good luck today in Fox.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.